Hello and welcome to another tutorial in Java development. In this tutorial, I will talk about something that I briefly spoke about in the last tutorial, and I told you that we're going to have a follow-up tutorial in which we'll learn about this new thing. This is the output that you can see right now at the bottom of the screen, where I'm displaying the data coming from the database. First of all, I take from user an input, which is the start ID range. Then I take the end ID range, and then I display all the values in between the two ID ranges. And we spoke about this in the last tutorial. What I want to talk about in today's tutorial is how I am displaying them in columns, and then on top of that, how am I pulling the column names directly from the database. So, going over some of the concepts that we have already gone over, on lines 12, 13, and 14, this is where I'm providing the URL to my database, followed by the username and password, which in our case is empty. But if you are talking to a database that does requires a username and password, that's where you can feed in or take an input from the user. We are using a prepared statement object. This would allow us to create our statement on the fly and not have a ready-to-go SQL statement before we start executing. And we have a connection object. In the try block, we are loading the drivers, we are establishing the connection, and this is where the SQL statement we had written in our last tutorial with a couple of question marks that will be filled during runtime. So we take an input from user, lines 26 through 31, lines 34, 35, we feed those inputs into the question marks, which are sequence 1 and 2, so they go respectively in the question marks. Here is what we were going to be talking about today. On line 37, we run our execute our query. As a result of that, a result is generated. Now this result holds the data, and I am using this result to pull the column information out. And this is what's called ResultSetMetaData, as you can see on line number 39. ResultSetMetaData. We create an object of ResultSetMetaData type, which is pulling the metadata from the result set. So result set holds the data as well as the metadata, but it's not capable of displaying the metadata, so we pull it out from the result set into the result set metadata. Now result set metadata has a lot of methods for you to work with. For example, if I want to know however many columns I've pulled from the result set, right now if you look at my query, I'm using in my query an asterisk. So I have not listed the columns. Instead of sitting out there and counting the number of columns to pull, I rather give that job over to the result set metadata. Check out the for loop. It says start at 1, keep looping till the I reaches the last of the column count. So the get column count is a built-in function of result set metadata class, which tells us however many columns are there in the SQL statement, not the table, the SQL statement. So now we run from 1 through the table count. Every time we loop through, we display a column name. And now we're displaying all the column names on the same line because I'm using printf. I've given a column size of 20s, negative sign, which is left align, and I'm tabbing between them. And then I'm displaying the column name and converting it into an uppercase. For that very reason, if you look at the output, I have employee ID, employee name, employee job title, employee salary. These are all coming directly as a result of that loop. Then I break the line and I go into my second loop. Now check out this loop here. I have a while loop, which allows me to pull one record at a time from the result set. Once the record is pulled out of the result set, I now need to go through that record and pull one value at a time. So in order to do that, I have written another for loop over here, as you can see, line 46, which goes from 1 through the column count because there are as many values as there are columns in a record. And every time it pulls a value out, I'm converting it into get object because I have different data types in every record. So instead of writing an if condition that if it's a string, pull out get string, if it's a double, pull out get double, we are utilizing the smart function of get object, which allows us to get any kind of an object. And then we're displaying them in the same column size as you can see on line number 41. So everything aligns very nicely in the output, as you can see. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Catch you in the next one with more result set metadata details. Have a great day.